September 26 of 2002, a strange object grabs the attention of a person passing by on a mountain. In awe, the first to locate the remains said there was something that looked like a skull and thought, that's not from an adult, that's from a kid. A kid's skull. A small skull found in the middle of Mount Waryong in Daegu reminded us all of a case that completely shook the entire nation. 5 boys who mysteriously disappeared in the year of March 26, 1991 and still an unsolved mystery. So what really happened to the boys on that day? 5 boys named Woo Won, Jo Ho Hyun, Kim Yong-kyu, Park Chang-in, and Kim Jong-sik, a very close friends who went to the same school, left for Mount Waryong in search of salamander eggs. Well, technically they should be called the salamander boys, but maybe that time they were so confused about the term and get used to use the frog boys. So there were supposed to be 6 boys on that day, but 1 boy went back home to eat breakfast and turned to be the lucky meal for him. But even after the sun went down, the children did not return. Just so you know, at the time it was a public holiday, that's why the boys were off to roam around the mountain. By the late afternoon, reporters heard from the police that 5 boys had been reported missing. But it wasn't very important news that time because the pro-democracy movement was growing in Korea. Everybody's attention was focused on who'd be elected. The parents were told by the policeman to just wait, the kids might be playing late. But days have passed, still boys did not return. After a week of missing, everyone was talking about whether the boys are still alive or what, and then that's the time the story became a nationwide news. Thousands of people were involved in the search but could not find any traces of the boys. Tons of phone calls also were received claiming that the boys were kidnapped only to ask for ransom. There were reportedly over 500 leads, which all turned out to be false. There were twists and turns, police theories, and conspiracy theories, but still there were no answers. Nevertheless, the parents of the 5 kids were so desperate to get the answer that they quitted their jobs and kept searching across the country, rain or shine or snow. The parents posted photos of the children pasted everywhere and coded to withstand the rain, handed out pamphlets in public places, and begging out on screen to help find their children. With these efforts, frog boys' parents became addicted to sleeping pills and drinking alcohol just to sleep and overcome pain. But here is something ridiculous, guys, because there was this Kim Ga-won, a criminal psychologist who had studied in the United States, that claimed that the children were buried in Kim Chol-gyu's house. Although it is such an absurd speculation, still everyone trusted him because that time there were hardly any criminal psychologists in Korea. So despite this belief, the police searched the toilet and even used an excavator to dig up Mr. Kim Chol-gyu's house, but only to find nothing. And the tragic ending is that Mr. Kim Chol-gyu died from the liver cancer, maybe because it was from the extreme exhaustion. And here is something fishy, guys, because there is actually a kid who heard the gunshot and screamed on the day the boys went missing. And that makes parents wonder if that case is connected to the military because of the shooting range nearby. But the police did not investigate. And the police did not treat the tale as a serious evidence and considered that as a rumor. And what is heartbreaking is that after a few years of investigation, people's interest started to fade, and only the parents still cared because the public thought the police had done all they could. So fast forward in 2002, the gruesome secret was revealed after the remains were found. The full remains were found in the mountains. The boys were placed intact in an area a couple of kilometers from their village. In addition, part of the skull seems to left traces from the weapon, a square U-shaped abrasion with approximately a 2mm width. Obviously, these traces did not occur naturally. Something hit in the skull, and that means this would cause a severe injury. Although this may not be the cause of their death, but the traces and how they are tangled each other suggest severe physical assault. The location where the children met the perpetrator and was murdered was presumably not so far away from the place of burial. Maybe in perpetrator's point of view, it is extremely difficult to deal with 5 kids at once, so the murder took place one by one, murdering 1 or 2 kids, unimaginably inhumane, ways, and then watching and enjoying and traumatizing the children. The horrible traces of the murderer's weapon left seems to be a dull and a sharp object. Many traces of two such objects appeared, but the size and shape are different, which indicates that multiple weapons may have been used in the murder. Murder weapons are very important at crime scenes. It helps us to understand the type of offender we're looking for. Eric Hickey, a criminal psychology professor in UC, and their team decided to find out if they can specify a certain tool that can recreate all the traces found on the boys' skulls. Back in the year of 1991, the tools that were easily accessible near the burial site was the agricultural tools. So they have conducted several experiments, and the results showed that the murderer's weapon was presumed to be an axe blade, a hammer, and a sharp part of all at the same time. And from Ji Dok-song's point of view, the president of Welding Technique Academy at the time, this hammer is a tool that can easily be seen in factories or construction sites. Unless you have specific motive, this tool can be used in the mountains. A weapon that was prepared in advance, a form of murder no one expected at that time. It doesn't seem like the killer was trying to kill on the spot. Furthermore, since they could not think a murder with no reason, a large scale of investigation did not take place. And the best theory the police could come up during 90s is that one boy got killed or died by accident, the murderer got panicked, killing the rest of the boys who were witnesses. And the investigators at that time could also not say that the murderer is insane, because if it is insanity, the murderer would not bother burying the bodies like that way. The clothes and the remains in the crime scene suggest that the crime was not done impromptu, but was planned, or that the killer was experienced. So 2 years after the remains were found, it was stored in the University Hospital morgue, and the boys had their funeral at last after 11 years. In 2015, however, South Korea removed the statute of limitation for the first-degree murder, which means any new evidence could lead to reopen this case. And because of the Frog Boys case and the other cases, South Korea's legal system has gradually advanced, so we can still hope to uncover the truth. Mr. Park says, "My life is almost over anyway. I've been patient until now. I can wait a little longer to see Chanin." On the other hand, one of the parents of the boys, Mr. Wu, also climbs Mount Waryong whenever he misses his son. He is desperate to find out why his son had to disappear that day and want to know at least the reason of killing them. He also wrote to his boy Chol-won and the other lovely sons. It's said that when your parents die, you bury them in the ground, but when your children die, you bury them in your heart. Anyway, if this tragedy did not happen, I think these boys are now in their 40s, living happily with their families and friends. My deepest sympathies to these boys and the families. And me too, I'm hoping and praying that this decade case will be solved soon or in the near future. So thank you guys for watching, and let me know what you think about this case. And see you guys in my next case. Bye!